Yo, all staff for the project. It is I, 2091 Rivera Israel in person. Yeah, usually I'm hiding behind my character Rivera all the time. But I decided to actually be man enough to actually show my face for once. Yes, and don't hate me because my face is retarded. We all know the same fact. Anyway, enough of that. I've come to talk about a new type of change in the project's history since 2006. The project's first ever game, called New Godzilla Team, The Seven Seals, Let's Go Defender. Now, Let's Go Defender is a tower strategy game, which means you gotta construct towers in order to defend a certain region until the endless waves of enemies cease. The main playable characters in the game when you first start playing it is Rivera, Kiryu, Godzilla. The main six are pretty much have to be unlocked. You unlock them as you advance through the campaign. Now, in the game strategy, you get to control the characters as well, because the towers are pretty much auto-automated, which means that when you construct them, they pretty much do all the work. So you can move the characters around and actually have them fight without a fist combat, atomic breath, elements of harmony, or whatever the hell the ponies use. Now, the game is pretty much set up in 1 year after Meltdown. Meltdown is pretty much was in 2037, so now the game is actually in 2038. Now, it's set mostly in Earth. There, however, is two missions in the gameplay that set place in Ponyville. Your main opponents are dragons and demons. Those are your two main opponents. Sometimes you'll be up against giant monsters and from Godzilla or Toho from elsewhere that I create as well. Now, the characters each have special abilities. Rivera had, for example, Rivera has fire spin, which means if you unlock the special ability, Rivera can jump into the sky and work like a helicopter and start firing his atomic breath in all directions, obliterating everything that it touches. Godzilla has power stomp. When you unlock that ability, Godzilla is able to pound the ground so hard that he could send all enemies surrounding a large region into oblivions. Twilight has a special healing force field that could expand throughout the whole region and heal everything, but not as much. Pinkie Pie has a region known as Party Madness, which means Party Madness is when a large disco ball falls from the sky and obliterates enemies from down below. Fluttershy has the similar power ability as Twilight Sparkle. Only difference is hers is can heal the whole field, except enemies, of course. Kiryu has a special ability known as Missiles and pretty much Wrist Blades, which in other words, when his ability is unlocked, he could go on a rampage with both his blades and missiles firing from his back. He could pretty much obliterate anything at close range as well as long range if he felt like it. Rainbow Dash has an ability known as Sonic Boom. The Sonic Boom ability allows her to ram and smash against the earth, obliterating everything except our towers and the players. Now, Priority has a shield ability which allows her to actually protect everything else from the invaders, but the shield ability could only last 30 to 50 seconds and then eventually it stops. The levels of the game, however, I'm still working on, but I decided to either at least put them at least up to at least 9 levels or 10, depending on what you guys think. For you see, before we could get into the real gaming industry, we have to work from the bottom. From the bottom, then we can work our way up, with a little bit of hard work until we reach the RPG era. Once we reach the RPG era, then we can work with stuff that's, more advanced, like Halo shit and everything else. You know what I'm talking about. There's a saying: you always start from the bottom, then work your way to the top. That's why I follow that rule, like I did when I first started the project to begin with in 2006. Now, the roles of the main six, such as Pinkie Pie, Rarity, Applejack, Fluttershy, those characters have still not been taken yet. Actresses can sign up and any volunteer to do those characters. Now, Spinach is Cool actually offered to do all of them, but I decided to leave the plan on halt for the time being unless other girls manage to volunteer. Now, if they shouldn't volunteer, then I'll leave Spinach is Cool to voice the rest. I'm still doing my role as Rivera in Godzilla. Now, Sponzilla, a newcomer of the project, will be doing Kiryu, a newest member of Godzilla Team, to replace Israel, who died in the events of last year, Meltdown. He died from the case of monstrous Meltdown. Monstrous Meltdown is a disease that a Kyuji can get after battling so much. The disease is caused when he gets too much radiation and it starts to heat up his body. I'm sure all G fans out there saw it themselves when watching Godzilla vs. Destroyer. That sad ending when Godzilla melted. That's what Israel did. Israel's death would leave Rivera and Godzilla into huge sorrow. Very huge sorrow. Kiryu would take over for Israel's role at the time being. Now, money of the game is pretty much equestrian dollars to Earth dollars, but mostly it's usually done to Earth dollars. Gain the money every time you actually beat a certain wave of opponents. Every time you beat a certain wave of opponents, the dead opponents vanish along with your towers, and then you get a large crap load of pay. You have only 15 seconds to get the pay, otherwise it disappears. Now, in order to place the towers, the stages are mostly set in city areas up to mountain areas. In order to stage the towers, you have to have a clear space, a very clear space. You can no longer send the tower over rubble, otherwise it'll turn red. Whenever you see a tower turn red, that means you can't set it there. You have to set it on a place that has enough room to stage the tower. By setting it green, anyone can set the tower. You could have even the main six, you could have Godzilla Team, anyone. Anyone could send the tower. In order to order the tower, you head to a menu, and then you hit to the tower to construct button, and then it shows you a large crap load of towers to construct. You unlock more as you advance through the game. The higher you advance through the game, the more powerful towers you get, because eventually the opponents are going to be getting more and more stronger, more smarter, and actually more faster than those when you first started, depending on what difficulty you're on. If players want to have a challenge, they could either go through intense section, or they could go through this is easy, I could take nothing at all, or they could go, or if they're in recruit, they could pretty much go, I'm new at this. Each one of these represents easy, medium, and hard. They're just creative ways I came up with to make the game look more interesting. Now, Spinach is Cool has volunteered to make the game herself. She said it was from some site or some junk. I don't know what it was, but still, she said she's going to make the game from there. I give all credit to her. Now, like I said before, this is if there's anyone who wants to do Applejack, Rarity, Fluttershy, or Pinkie Pie, they're welcome to be my guest. Rainbow Dash, Twilight Sparkle, Princess Luna, and Princess Celestia are all done already. One by Espeon Spirit, another by Pokezilla 2, and another Pokemon, and the last one done by Spinach is Cool herself. there's now Spike is pretty much the only problem we're getting here. He's a male character and takes a minor role, but we still need a character for him. Although he's not going to be shown in the game, but he's going to be shown pretty much in the cutscenes, like when Godzilla Team returns to Equestria. When they return to Equestria, pretty much Spike will be shown as a playable character, the one who actually points out, showing that there's enemies heading this way. So if anyone could do Spike, I'd be very grateful. If not, then it's going to be even more harder and harder to find an actor. But anyway, that's the speech I made on the game. I want people's reviews. I don't care if it's either negative or positive. It won't hurt my feelings. It's best to have anyone's opinion on what it is. If anyone has any questions, they could feel free to comment, or probably comment on my page like Godzilla 2 does. It's up to everybody. But until then, this is 2091 Rivera Israel saying, peace out.